Hey guys, welcome back to David's Outdoors, where we discuss everything tractors, lawn, landscape, and snow. Today I have an interesting video and I want to discuss what my first year costs were for owning this 2022 1025R. So just to kind of jump right into it, I bought this 1025R at the tail end of 2022. So I purchased this quite literally on December 31st of 2022. I initially got this as more of a kind of a powered wheelbarrow type thing to help me in various situations with my landscaping company, and it ended up being my favorite thing ever. And so I have just under a year of ownership, but within 2-3 weeks it will be a 1-year ownership. So I just wanted to run through all of my numbers between the purchase price, the monthly payment, what my APR was, how much fuel and maintenance costs, and just an interesting comparison between what it would have cost me to rent both a skid steer and a mini excavator, as opposed to what I saved, I guess, having this, the tractor and the loader and the backhoe instead. So to get started, when I bought this back in 2022, I did use John Deere financing. So what you see here is pretty much what I got plus a little bit more. So this is a 2022 1025R that I bought off the showroom floor. So brand new, no out, like it had 0.3 hours on it or something. And so what my purchase price entailed, or what it came with the 1025R, brand new with a warranty, came with the 120R loader, the 260B backhoe, it came with a 3-point iMatch quick hitch. It also came with pallet forks, as well as a John Deere, not warranty, but a John Deere insurance through the entire life of the loan. So with all of that being wrapped in, my total loan purchase price that I started paying on was $32,913.21. And I'll have it listed somewhere on the screen so you can see as well. So with that $32,900 or so, I got approved and I chose the option to get financed for 60 months at a 0.9% interest rate. So what my final monthly cost came to with all of those goodies involved is $561.20. And that is a month-to-month thing that I pay on the 29th of every month. And so that is taken out automatically from my business account. So between getting that out of the way, just kind of the main purchase price, I want to talk more about what I used for fuel, what I spent in maintenance, and those kinds of things as well. So for fuel, I put roughly 95 hours on this tractor. And what I found is that the fuel consumption rate on this tractor, it came out to about 0.8 gallons per hour of use on this tractor. And so going through all my bank statements and saving my receipts and stuff, I spent roughly $288.04 for fuel for using this tractor for the entirety of 2023. Our fuel cost was roughly about $3.79 on average, and so for 95 hours, 0.8 gallons an hour, it comes to about 288.04 cents. So fuel was really not terrible. Obviously, I got a lot done with this tractor in 95 hours that you wouldn't even think. I didn't have to shovel anymore. I was able to haul mulch in the bucket rather than wheelbarrowing. I was able to dig without constantly having to either pull out a shovel or rent a mini excavator. And so this thing it just turned out to be the Swiss Army knife that I needed. So this tractor has basically become an extension of my business, and it has done everything that I've wanted it to do. It has increased our productivity on everything, even from small mulch jobs up to rocks and moving pallets and everything. This tractor really fit the reasons that I needed it, and I would recommend to any business owner who is in that lawn care landscape business to potentially look into getting a tractor like this. And again, I want to compare the cost of ownership versus the cost of rental as well. So getting out of that, so fuel was $2.88 and 4 cents, and maintenance for it, obviously I had to take it in at 50 hours to have the 50-hour service done where they do the oil change and change the fluids and whatnot, and that cost me about $499. So before you wonder why I did not do that myself, because I do typically work on most of my equipment, I don't want to work on a diesel. And because I bought this tractor brand new in warranty, I like the understanding and knowing that everything is taken care of through John Deere. And if they find anything during that service, or if I ever have a warranty claim, they can look through and see that I have been taking care of it through their technicians. And so ultimately, I feel as though I am willing to pay a little bit extra for that peace of mind, knowing that there is a log on this piece of equipment that someone can look at and see what has been done, through the dealership. So I paid $499 for that 50-hour service, as well as I spent only about $50 in grease throughout the whole year. And I was very good about greasing it up. Every morning I greased it. And so it came to about $50 for grease. And I also factored about $113 on top of that price for the other 45 hours past the 50 hours that I used it. And where I got that number, I took that $499 and the first service is 50 hours and the next service is 200 hours after, so at 250. So I took $499 divided by 200 and I just multiplied that by the 45 hours that I used it, and it equates to about $113. So between the fuel cost, the monthly cost of the tractor, the maintenance costs and everything, I had no real unexpected expenses with it. There were no flat tires that I ran into. I still have not filled the tires, so that wasn't necessarily part of it. And everything worked mechanically just phenomenal. I had zero problems over the 95 hours that I had used it. And so there really is just general maintenance, the cost of the tractor, and fuel is pretty much all that I paid. And so over 2023, I spent a total of $7,684.44 owning this tractor. So where it gets interesting is when you divide that by roughly 95 hours, I kind of have my hourly cost for me to own and run this tractor as opposed to rental fees. Obviously, I didn't take into account that I have put equity into it, and even though it will depreciate some, it will still hold some value. And so I did not put that in. I just strictly, said in 5 years when this loan is done, this thing is done and I have to replace it. So that's kind of the mindset that I have looked at. It's not true, but the way I look at things through numbers is that's how it is. So I just calculate full replacement cost. And so that almost $7,700 divided by 95 hours, I spent about $80.89 per hour running this tractor. Well, that seems like a lot, and obviously, again, if you factor the depreciation costs and stuff, it's a lot less, But the way that I looked at it is how I began renting skid steers and mini excavators pretty much almost every day, if not every week, and it became such a big expense in my business that I did need to look for something that could kind of fit the jobs. It's something that wouldn't necessarily rip up the grass so much, that I could kind of use it as a powered wheelbarrow and lighter than a skid steer. I could also dig with it. It became like I said, an extension on every job site. We took it to pretty much every job site with us just because we loved it so much. It just made our lives and jobs a lot easier to do. So what I figured, I kind of broke down those 95 hours between like loader and bucket type hours when we would have used a skid steer, as well as digging when we would have probably rented a mini excavator rather than a shovel. So a skid steer, I factored about 80 hours of this machine use was used with the loader bucket. And so I equivalent that for 80 hours that I would have rented a skid steer. And 15 of those hours were used with the backhoe. And so again, backhoe, mini excavator. And our going rates right now per hour on a piece of equipment is about $100 an hour where I live here in South Dakota for a skid steer, and about $125 an hour for a mini excavator. So take those 80 hours, multiply it by $100 an hour, and I would have spent roughly $8,000 plus sales tax on renting a skid steer for the year, as well as $1,875 renting a mini excavator. So those two together, about $9,875 that I did not pay, plus again sales tax, 6.2 sales tax or 6.2% sales tax. So with sales tax, I saved over $10,000 not having to go to a rental company. Now, where you want to, where we want to find the difference between what this costs me versus that, it really comes down, if you take that $98.75, subtract it by the almost $7,700 for the ownership of this, it comes to about, I saved $2,190.56 owning this. But that is not all, because, and I went pretty low on this, but when I rent a piece of equipment, I have to get a trailer ready. I have to go to my equipment rental company. I have to fill out paperwork. I then load up the equipment and then have to take it to a job. And luckily, I'm fortunate enough to where I'm pretty close to my equipment rental place. So I factored about 30 minutes extra, besides loading things up, that I would have to spend to rent that piece of equipment. And we use this piece of equipment on about 40 jobs. So if you take, my average hourly wage is $60 an hour, and technically it's more than that, but if we go down $60 an hour and we have 40 jobs at 30 minutes to load, for each job, that equates to $1,200 in non-billable expense time that we cannot charge anybody. And so the true cost between the savings from rental to owning this, that $2,190, plus that $1,200, I actually did save about $3,390.56 owning this piece of equipment. And again, that's just like total surface level numbers. We could really get into the depreciation value versus the equity of it and all that. But the fact of the matter is, I have a piece of equipment now that I can take to any job site whenever I want. If I was going back and forth on whether I really wanted to wheelbarrow something last year versus if I should rent a skid steer, I now don't have that question. This piece of equipment, this 1025R, is on every single job site with us. It has saved my back, not only from shoveling rock and stuff, but also for digging trenches and whatnot. French drains are easier to put in. Mulch installs are easier. Everything about this tractor has helped me in my business. And you also factor how much it would cost to wheelbarrow, or how much time it has saved. This tractor, just the ability to turn the key and go and load up whenever I need to and not have to worry about if it's in stock or if it's available for rental or anything like that. This tractor is ready to go. And again, for if you take off, if you just pay that cost of the tractor right away, and you're not necessarily paying the monthlies, and again, you've got your depreciation that first year or so. But in reality, you would be paying less than $1,000 in that first year if your situation was similar to mine. With a vehicle, or with a tractor or vehicle with full warranty on it, it gives you the peace of mind that you're not going to be worried necessarily if the engine blows up, you get a new engine, all that kind of stuff. So I would not look back on getting this piece of equipment, but in terms of savings, that's where I was about at. I factored about $3,400 that I saved this year as opposed to rental equipment. So I know it's kind of a boring video, but I know a lot of people, have asked me about it, whether locally or online, and that's about how much it cost me for the first year of ownership. And I urge you to do your own research and stuff. And we have a Kubota dealership in town as well. The reason I didn't go with the Kubota was just I wasn't a huge fan of the treadle pedal. And overall, no matter what, a compact tractor for sure will be very a very nice tool to have in your collection at your disposal, and it does not necessarily matter. Obviously, John Deere, I'm thankful because I have good dealer support here in this town. I know that things will be taken care of, and ultimately I enjoyed spending a little bit extra money for the creature comforts. So with all that being said, I will also do another video on my 4052R with the cost breakdown similar to this. And if you enjoyed watching the video, we're just waiting for snow right now, or else I'd be pumping out some more fun action content. But right now there's nothing on the ground, so until we have some snow or the ground unfreezes, I apologize, but I just don't have much to do with these tractors. So I hope you subscribe and stick around and look for my new videos, and thank you for watching.